Good morning everyone. Welcome to the 33rd lecture of the VLS Interconnects course. This is also the final lecture of this course. We are currently in the 5th module of this course where we are discussing extraction of interconnect parameters. In the previous 3 lectures we saw the extraction of capacitance and then in the last 2 lectures we discussed extraction of inductance. In the discussion for extraction of inductance, the extraction of resistance part was also there. We were extracting the impedance of the interconnect, the series impedance of the interconnect. The real part of that would correspond to the resistance, and the imaginary part would correspond to the reactance, inductive reactance, and from there inductance can be estimated. In this lecture, we will look at a different method of estimation of interconnect parameters from S parameters. So this would be the final lecture of this course. So let's get started. So what we have seen so far is that we can simulate. I mean, if I know the structure of my interconnect, I can extract using numerical techniques the capacitance and inductance and resistance per unit length of my interconnect. However, in a real scenario, it may happen that the exact structural specifications of the finally fabricated interconnect is not known. There might be variations, and this variation might be due to the fabrication process or it might be due to temperature and other effects. Temperature, mechanical stress and other things. So it may happen that your actual fabricated structure is not the same, or it changes over time, and in that case your simulations, or say the parameter extraction from simulation is not always accurate. So what is the way out? So what we do is that we extract or say we model the interconnect in terms of its S parameters. So from direct measured S parameters, we extract the interconnect parameters, and this forms the topic of discussion for today's lecture. So let me, before I go into the details, let me show you some of the papers which talk about such things. So this paper is from 2004. It's from a conference. And it talks about electrical characterization of through wafer interconnect. So earlier, this is 2004, so that time it was called through wafer interconnects, but this is basically what is called through silicon via, which is called as through silicon vias now. So basically this is the through silicon allows 3D chip stacking, enabling integration of multiple chip functions, optoelectronic, analog or digital, with reduced power and space requirements to date. So in this paper they basically are showing this through silicon via or through wafer interconnect. So here's the cross sectional micrograph showing this. So here on the right there is this interconnect. You can see that there are these defects around here. There are these defects you can see, and then here a void is also created. So this is a void is created here, right? So for this type of thing, this is what you get when you finally fabricate. So that might not exactly match with what we were trying to simulate, and therefore you have to extract the parameters from, say, the measurements. So for that there is a probe station. So this is one of the schematic of or say figure diagram of a probe station. So here this is the zoomed in version here. So if you look at this part, this is the zoomed in version here. You can see there are different probes here. This is, I think, a 4 probe station. This is not a high frequency characterization. So let me clarify that This paper does not talk about, say, the S parameters and other high frequency characterization, but it tells us, but this paper tells us how the structure can be and what is the general, it gives a good schematic of the probe station which would be required. Then there is another paper, this is from 2005, this is on high temperature RF probe station for device characterization through 500 degrees centigrade and 50 gigahertz. So this is another thing. So this is a vector network analyzer. So this is a network analyzer. This is also called VNA. If you have done microwave lab or any course on microwave, you might be aware with this. What is VNA? It basically measures the scattering parameters and it measures the magnitude as well as phase. So this is your device under test which is placed here. Then these are probes, and this probe station has these probes coming in. It's on your device, and it's something like this. And from there you measure the scattering parameters. So for example, you will be able to measure the S21 phase magnitude and S21 phase and S21 phase and similarly S11 magnitude and S11 phase. So here they are showing how the scattering parameter S21 and magnitude as well as phase will vary. It will vary with the change in temperature. So this is the variation which they have shown in this figure. Then there is another paper. This is very recent. This is from June 2021. It's just few months back, published in IEEE Transactions on Components, Packaging and Manufacturing Technology. In this paper, they show they are trying to evaluate the crack evolution of crack of bond wires in your chip. So basically, when you bond wires are those wires which connect your device to your RF circuit. So you can go through this. So basically you can see this, that I mean you can I would refer you to this paper. What they say is that because of thermomechanical stress, cracks can evolve and they need to be investigated. So so this study proposes that research goals can be accomplished by S parameter analysis alone. So in microwave also we know that S parameter can characterize a network completely. So so basically with S parameter measurements they are able to they are trying to analyze this crack. So here they are giving some good figures. So this is say the port 1 or side 1, side 2, and this is the signal path. So this is our 8 mm bond wire. This is the bond wire. This is the ground layer. So this is the ground plane. This is the top view. This is a zoomed in version for that. So this is the optical microscopy image from the side. So from the side, if we are looking at it, this is the bond wire. And then bond wire is connected to this part here. So this is the zoomed in optical image here, and this is the I think scanning electron microscopy image. So this is how the wire is bonded at this point. So you can see that even these wires and all these the connections are not ideal, and there are many issues there. So then what is suggested here is that it is something like this. So this is a schematic of experimental setup for RF measurement of bond wire interconnects in a temperature chamber. So there is a temperature chamber, there is this specimen interconnect, or say the bond wire which is there. This is a vector network analyzer. This will measure S11 and S21 scattering parameters. I hope you are familiar with scattering parameters. If not, go back to your basics, or we can discuss it in the coming week's discussion session. So basically what it does is that this measures the reflection and transmission of a network or a circuit, and it also measures the magnitude and phase. So that's the why the vector term comes in. So here in this there are many interesting figures in this. If you look at this, they have even further zoomed into this bond wedge and how this is connected to the surface and how this is bending, and then it can actually break also. So there are many interesting figures in this paper, and it's very recent, June 2021. So I would suggest you to go through this as well. Now coming back to the topic, what in these figures what I've tried to show you is how an interconnect or a wire would actually look like, and that's it will become important that you have to actually do the measurements and then extract the interconnect parameters. So basically at microwave frequencies, we know that interconnect can be characterized by its scattering parameters, and we will see how this enables us to extract the interconnect parameters, the RL and C of your interconnect. So basically if you have an interconnect, it can be represented by a transmission line like this. So your interconnect will have some resistance, inductance, capacitance, and in general it will also have a conductance, I mean a shunt conductance G. So we know that this is there are this interconnect intrinsic parameters which are Z0, which is a characteristic impedance of the interconnect, and gamma is the propagation constant. We have discussed this in detail in module 2, where we were discussing the RLC interconnect. So in that module what we had said that I can replace this by an ABCD parameter, and from ABCD parameter, that's how we had actually derived the transfer function of your interconnect. Now what we will do is that this setup actually gives us the S parameters. So S parameters are S11, S12, S21 and S22. So what we do is that we measure S parameters. Here Zp is the port impedance. So most often hold on. So often this Zp is 50 ohms. It is not necessary, but most of the time probes have 50 ohm impedance. So in this formulation which I am giving, I have assumed that this is symmetric. So this is Zp on both sides. This is the port impedance. This is the port impedance. So what happens is that once we measure this this thing, model this with an RF network, we get the S parameters. So your VNA will give you this these S parameters. So you will have you can have an S you can have an S parameter. So suppose this is S11 and then this is say S21, and you can measure these things. There will be magnitude as well as phase. So in general S is complex with magnitude and phase. So from there it's a 3-step process of extraction of your interconnect parameter. So First S parameters are converted to ABCD parameters, and then for for an transmission line we have already derived what are the ABCD parameters. So from using those expressions we get Z0 and gamma. So Z0 and gamma are computed from the ABCD parameters, and once Z0 and gamma is computed, you get the RLCG from the Z0 and gamma, and that's how you extract the interconnect parameters. So I'm just giving the formulas here. You need not memorize these, but these are available in the reference books. So if you once you know S parameters, you can get the ABCD parameters. So from S you convert it to ABCD. So the formulas are this. You can refer to this also. Here note that ZP is the port impedance here. So in B and C, this ZP is there. This is the port impedance. These formulas are valid only when you have a symmetric and real port impedance. If the port impedance is complex, or if the port impedance of port 1 and port 2 is not equal, there is a slight modification to these conversion formulas, and that is also available in the literature on RF and microwave network analysis. So you get a you can code this equations in your interface, Python or MATLAB, whatever. So you have ABCD, you have got the ABCD parameters. From ABCD to the so once you have the ABCD of the interconnect, so you can get the gamma and Z0. So we had derived this relationship in one of the previous lectures in module 2, where we were in the process of deriving the transfer function of interconnect. So if I have an interconnect of propagation constant gamma and Z0, characteristic impedance Z0 and length L, then my ABCD parameters are given by this. So from here you can compare the terms. So this and this compares, and then this and this compares, and then this and this compares, and then this and this compare. I mean, these two A and D are anyways equal. So from here you can get Z0 by, as if I want Z0 I would do B by C. So this is a separation. I have just changed the notation of this C of ABCD parameter to differentiate it from the C of capacitance, C of the interconnect capacitance. So if I take the ratio here, so from say B is equal to what I will get is B is equal to Z0 sin hyperbolic gamma L, and then C is equal to sin hyperbolic gamma L divided by Z0, and if I take the ratio of B by C, I get Z0 is equal to root over B by C. So similarly I can compare this A is equal to cos hyperbolic L, and from there I can get cos this as cos hyperbolic gamma L as A, and finally what I can get is gamma is equal to 1 by L cos inverse hyperbolic of A. So so now you have completed step 2. So from S to you got ABCD, from ABCD you got Z0 and gamma, and in the third step you extract RLCG from the Z0 and gamma. So you know the expressions for Z0 and gamma. So this also we have seen earlier. So from this, now if you want to eliminate or you want to estimate R and L and C, so all you do is, if I multiply these two equations, I will get gamma into L is equal to R plus j omega L. So this is a complex number, this is also complex. So if I compare the real component, real term there, I will get real term of gamma L will real part of gamma Z naught will give me resistance per unit length. Note that this R and L is are the values per unit length, and from here I can compare the imaginary part, and imaginary part gives me this. So I have got R and L. Similarly, I can take the ratio of these two. So if I do gamma by Z naught, I get gamma by Z naught is G plus G omega C, and then if I from here if I compare the real and imaginary parts, I get the conductance, shunt conductance per unit length as real part of gamma by Z naught, and capacitance as 1 by omega into the imaginary part of gamma by Z naught. So this is once you have the S parameters, it's straightforward. You just have to code these things, and you get the value of RL and RL, G and C. So this is what we do. We again I am rephrasing it. We start with the measurements. From measurement I get S, from S to ABCD, ABCD to Z naught and gamma, and from gamma to RL, CG. However, what we have seen is also valid if we have the S parameters. So in the previous 3 lectures, we saw some numerical techniques. Mostly they were integral equation based techniques for extraction of RL and C. Now the question before us is that suppose I have a commercial simulator. Do I need to write the code to implement those numerical techniques and extract the parameters every time? Because writing the code and extracting, or say implementing those numerical techniques on our own is also not a straightforward task. It's also a very complicated task. However, what we have is we have very good commercially available simulators. So in commercially available simulators, I can make a structure. If required, I can also incorporate some type of deformities in there, and then I can simulate it. What these commercial softwares do is that I can define pods there, and I can get the S parameters. So if I have an HFSS simulator, so for example, I have HFSS, or if I have a CST Studio, or I have COMSOL, I can simulate these structures, and it will return me the S parameters. So from there also I can get S parameters, even though that might not be exactly what will finally be fabricated. But if I want to say even extract these parameters from my simulation, and I don't want to write my own code from scratch, I can use these commercially available simulators, get the S parameters, and then follow the same procedure to model RLCG. So that is another advantage of this scattering parameter based techniques, that the easily available simulators can also be used for analytical and circuit level characterization of your interconnect. Now in many cases, as I had shown earlier, that in the first slide, that there can be bend defects on your interconnects. So it's not always a straight line. There might be some void formation or some hillock or whisker formation. So in that cases, there would be something like this. So you have an interconnect, and then there is a bend or say defect like this, or in many cases there you will have to maybe bend the interconnect. So this is your signal coming from this direction. This is I'm showing the top view. So if this was a straight straight interconnect, you could have modeled this by a transmission line and then the ABCD. So for this you could get an RLC, and for the sake of generality, I am also writing G, right? And then for this segment also you will have some other RLCG. Now the issue is that once you have this RLC, you have circuit level representation, but how do we get some circuit level representation of this defect? So for that, what we do is called the de-embedding. So what we do is de-embedding. So if I have characterized this segment of my interconnect, and so basically I know what would be the RLCG if I fabricate or simulate an interconnect of some certain dimensions, but then there is some defect as well, an additional defect, or there is a bend. So with bend there will be some fringing fields, additional fringing fields, and then there might be some different flux linking, and so there might be something else going on at this point. So what we do is that we have this break this into say tx1. So if this is tx1 and this is tx2, or here also we break this in tx1 and this part in tx2, what we can do is that we can represent this defect or also bend by a T network or pi network. So we know this, we know the ABCD here, so we know ABCD parameters here, and I know the ABCD parameters here. This is what is unknown to me, right? However, if I know these ABCD parameters of the defect, I can get my Z1, Z2 and Z3. So what I do is that I, from the measurements, I get the ABCD net. So my ABCD is ABCD of Tx1 into defect into of Tx2. So from my S parameter measurements, I get my ABCD net, which is this ABCD net. So I mean, if I have a structure like this, what I will do is that I will do measurements here, right? I can't go to all defects, this defect, and then do the extraction. So from here I will get the ABCD. This ABCD will be for the net, but I know this, and this is what I don't know. So what I can do is I can do de-embedding. So my ABCD defect would be my ABCD what is measured into, I will pre-multiply this, so I will have an AB inverse into, and this is Tx1 and this is Tx2. So from here I will get the ABCD parameters, and from my ABCD parameters I can fit my T or pi network. So this is another benefit of the scattering parameter based approach, that you can extract or say you can model you can circuit model the defects and bends also in your interconnect. So with that we will stop this lecture here. So far in this course we have gone through 5 modules. In the first module we saw RC interconnect. In the second module we saw the importance of inductive effects in your interconnects. In the third module we saw the additional effects which are there. So in this we especially saw the skin effects. the power dissipation due to interconnects, the heating and thermal heating effects and thermal modeling, and electromigration. Then in the fourth module, we saw the coupling in interconnects. How do we build a formulation for that? So we saw the matrix formulation, which is quite powerful in dealing with interconnects. And once we have got how this RLC and coupling affects the interconnect parameters, in this final module, we were discussing how do we extract the interconnect parameters. So here in this final module, we saw numerical techniques as well as in this current lecture, we saw estimation of interconnect parameters from the S parameters. So with that, I will stop here. This is the final lecture of this course. We will have a discussion session this week and that would be the end of this course. So I wish you all the best. Good day.